Tom, appreciate the time. Can you
got your toboggan on during this interview?
No, I'm just chilling in the house, man. But I have seen the snow, and our dog is out there running circles in it. She loves it, so I'll be out there very soon.
Yeah, I'm sure the kids will want to go sledding soon, so I'll have to find some more work to do around the office.
I thought you were talking about like Tom's kids. I was like, Tom's kids are grown.
My kids are going to want to go sledding or find some way to go down a hill fast. So
you got to be a good father, dude.
That's right,
and do that.
Figure it out.
Tom, hey, answer this for us if you can. This open practice, is that just the other word for the spring game? We were kicking that around on
the 16th of April.
I believe that's exactly what it is. So I think it may not be the traditional full scrimmage situation. That's what Matt Jones wrote up for us today. That it may not be the end either. So I'm still a little bit murky on it. But I don't think it's going to be a full red-white game, although it will be on TV.
But 15 practices is the limit for spring, right? That's always been the case.
Correct.
So if that is the 15th practice, as I was reading it, that would be the end of spring practice.
Oh yeah, if that's the 15th, it would be the end. So I'm a little bit confused on the exact dating of everything.
Yeah, it's weird how they worded the release yesterday.
Mm-hmm. But it does feel like they're not gonna do the typical split up the rosters and play. They're gonna do more of a controlled. There'll be some scrimmaging in it, and of course they want the fans there for it too. And I hope they open up some other parts of it, and certainly I hope the media is involved in a lot of watching of spring.
So I'm sure if they're going to go this route, and I'm sure Sam Pittman's listening because he wants to know what Tom Murphy and Tommy Kraft and Ty Richardson think about this.
As he should.
So, Coach, listen up. Take a page. There was a college coach that did this a while back, but the XFL or one of them leagues. Start this baby out with, let's go best offensive lineman against best defensive lineman, one-on-one, middle of the field. And let's just have some sumo. And let's do about 3 or 4 rounds. I think you want to get people in their seats and in that stadium early. Now, that's something that I might actually drive through the tunnel to go see if they would do that. So if we're not going to play the traditional red-white game with altered rules and scoring and modified let's do some fun stuff like that and some drills and some skill competitions and then, have a few series. To me, that would be fun to see your best defensive inside technique go against your left tackle and just go head up until they blow the whistle. Tom, that would be entertaining to me.
Yeah, and we get glimpses of that at practices. I mean, so that's part of their repertoire. Going 1v1,
mm-hmm.
They do a drill where some guys are laying on the ground and they jump up and try to get some yardage, stuff like that. So Oklahoma drills, whatever you want to call them, but they do individual stuff. So if it's part of the repertoire, why not entertain the fans? Because,
absolutely.
That's what you want to do.
Yeah, get you about 5 rounds. That promote it. This is a place that wants to promote and recruit, and under Bielema, they gave all the linemen the first class seats on the plane, and you want to get the best linemen, and this would be one little small thing. You can say, well, here's what we do to promote our linemen, and let the best 5 from each side go head to head and figure out what the reward is, for whoever wins that little battle. I think that'd be fun. It'd be entertaining to me at least.
Yeah, well, I think as they go through spring and they get their scrimmaging in and they, of course, digest this very segment of this show,
yes,
they will determine a great game plan to show the people on the April the 16th in front at Razorback Stadium,
mm-hmm.
and they're going to put on a show for us.
Yep, that'd be great. So we need to figure out how to get this conversation onto the jukebox, and that way when Sam fires up the jukebox, he can hear these comments.
Get credit for it.
Yeah, I'm not worried about credit. I just want to be entertained. So.
Oh, man, I can't.
It sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I can't wait for football. Well, Tom, we're not in football season. We are in basketball season, so I do want to ask you about last night. Team got it going in the second half, and I think Jimmy Dykes said on the broadcast last night and also said on our show yesterday that Arkansas looks like the third best team in the league. Tennessee's got something to say about that. You've beaten LSU. You've lost to Mississippi State. You've got a way to avenge that on Saturday.
Yeah.
In your opinion, Tom, I know they haven't played the stiffest of competition. You still got Auburn. You still got Bama. You still got Kentucky. But could this team, or is this team, the third best team in the league right now?
Well, they certainly could be. And I got a kick last night. I know I've been telling y'all that I've been listening to the opposing radio broadcast and the coaches' interview on their post-game radio, where I think they tend to say a little bit more, unfiltered type things. But their radio analysts had Arkansas is playing great basketball. They're the second best team in the SEC right now, but there's a big gap between Auburn and the next. And I'm thinking, this dude's leaving Kentucky out of the conversation. You don't just walk into Fog Allen and win and not be, playing good basketball.
Absolutely.
So anyway, he left that out. Of course, they also joked around about Stanley Amude transferring from South Dakota, and was that the Horizon League or the Ohio Valley? I mean, what conference was it? Or the Summit League? And hey, Amude lit him up. I don't know.
Hey, when you're 1-8 in the league, you either laugh or cry. I guess they're going to laugh, Tom.
Ouch! Yeah, they lost their defensive connection last night. You could tell there was a bunch of just slip screens and give and goes and things like that, where Arkansas guys were dunking all over. I mean, that's the best offensive flow Arkansas has had in so long. But if you were like me and watching the first half, Georgia made, I know, their first 4 3-pointers, and it might have been 5. But you're like, okay, they're going to cool off at some point, and Arkansas is going to kind of keep going on offense, and that's exactly what happened. But, hey, I think it was good to get that challenge, and I was hoping for both teams to score 50 in the first half. Wouldn't that have been fun? But one thing Musselman pointed out in his postgame, not happy at all with the first-half defense. So they got it clamped down, and, it feels good going into this Mississippi State game now.
We were talking about this earlier in the show, and, game started at 6. We were still situating dinner and everything in the house. I'm watching the game. First 10 minutes, well, this had, I was expecting like it's been the last few games, Tom, like 16-5 or, Arkansas is up 18-7 or something like that at the certainly by the second media timeout at the under 12, and that is not at all how the game went. Georgia was giving them some challenges early, and there's a high-scoring game, 53 first-half points for Arkansas that finally got the lead. Ty and I were trying to put our finger on what changed defensively for Arkansas. I mean, obviously Georgia's shooting slowed down after a very hot first half. Could you pinpoint anything in that game that Arkansas made a shift? I know Chris Likes got to play more, and certainly he's not always been your best defender, but he got a couple of transition points off some line ball turnovers. Some things offensively went well, but what changed, in your opinion, to clamp that thing down the last 25, 28 minutes of the ball game?
Yeah, I think a couple things. I think they got out to the three-point line better and made those three-point shots tougher, because some of those early ones were open. And also they were doing this kind of three-quarter court trapping stuff. The TV, I don't know if this is what you saw, but the TV angle, there were some steals in the backcourt. Yeah. They didn't even get on TV. And
that Likes, the second one on that Likes sequence where he had back-to-back. I mean, they didn't get
and there was a no-taste steal or two, and none of them were on TV, so you don't know how it happened. It was a strange occurrence last night. I'm listening to Chuck and Matt on the broadcast on my Alexa app, and it was strangely timed up with the TV. Now, it usually doesn't happen that way, but I was also streaming it, so I think that's why they were matched up. And Chuck would call a steal out, and so I'd look up, and it wasn't, they were already going to the hole. So I think Georgia didn't anticipate some of that trapping, and they were making what one of their players last night called boneheaded passes after Arkansas baskets. They turn and they throw it in without looking, and they were getting intercepted. Yeah. So those types of things, and also Georgia's in a position now where if you get on top of them, I think it's easier for them to lose their focus and not be, they're a younger team, and as Tom Crean pointed out last night, they're lacking in the maturity where if you're not playing good offensively, that you stay connected and communicate defensively. They didn't do that.
Yeah, biggest difference in the box score. Georgia made 7 first-half three-point baskets on 11 attempts. They were 1 of 6 in the second half, and that changed the dynamic of the game. We were talking yesterday on the show with Jimmy Dykes, who joined us, about Jaylin Williams, and now I think he's up to 30 charges he's taken during the year. Tom, what do you see in his game, and what makes him such a good defender, considering the RA, the rim protection, every one of these calls, we were just talking about this earlier, every one of these calls are like easy for the referees. These aren't 50-50 calls that just all break his way. In your opinion, from what you've seen, what makes Jaylin Williams such a good defender at the rim and taking 30 charges on the year?
Yeah, I think it's having a smart head for the game, the instincts and intuition to see how plays are developing and getting himself in position. Yeah, I thought last night's three were all very easy calls.
Yeah.
But that one in the last minute against LSU, when I saw it, I'm like, whoa.
That's a 50-50 that went his way.
Moved. Yeah. That was a generous one. But he just has he's a feel for the game. And, well, you know what? I think Jaylin Williams is just a pleaser. I mean, when you see his face, he's always smiling. Mm-hmm. And it makes me feel better inside when I see that kid with a huge smile on his face. So, I don't know, maybe other fans feel that way too. But you almost get a feel for like, man, he's just having fun playing a game. Yeah, and I love that.
His court awareness, we were talking about this, considering the restricted area and not having those feet anywhere near that line or just at least far enough away that it's obvious. That takes just good awareness because you don't have time to look down, look where your feet are at, then get set, then pick up the offense. There's not enough time for all that. So just having a feel about where you're at in the floor in a very confined space and a very defined space as well with those lines, that's just something that takes a lot of time and a lot of practice and a lot of reps in games to have the confidence to stand where you're at and then, hey, by the way, run me over. I mean, it's not as easy as it looks.
No, and he's very good at it, and I think all three of his might have been on other guys driving, like not his man, but both Kamani's and the J.D. Notes were just on them being bodied up on a defender, and then that defender kind of lowers the shoulder and starts driving in.
Yep.
So it was their own man. So they drew 5 charges last night, and I think Georgia had 1. But Williams might be as good as anybody in the country at this.
Maybe the best secondary defender in the country.
Yep.
It's a good off-ball defender. Tom, a couple coaching questions before. Actually, we'll just do one before we let you go. Jim Harbaugh, staying in Ann Arbor. Good move or bad move for the now Michigan and former Michigan, current Michigan head coach?
Well, I mean, I think good news. I felt all along that he wasn't going anywhere after you lead a team to the playoff. But in today's game, you know, leverage and all that kind of stuff means something, and for better contracts and things. So I don't know. He's an outspoken voice, and some of the stuff he's done, it's a little bit reminiscent of other guys who've been in the industry that don't conform to all the norms about what you say and don't say. I do not like that. I think he's got a real restrictive policy on talking to players and assistant coaches. I'm not positive on that, but I think he is, and that I don't like. But I think overall he's good for the game.
Tom, we appreciate it, man. We're about to get in this Jimbo Fisher tirade. I don't know if you've heard it, but I encourage you to listen to it after this.
I've heard it, and I've heard it. And did Tommy hear it? That's the question. Did Tommy hear it?
Oh, I heard it. I've already teed off once, but I'm ready to take a mulligan on it again and go at it again. Here's my quick take on it, Tom. Where were you 2 weeks ago when everybody was saying you were getting $30 million and it was good for your recruiting down the stretch and whatever they signed? Where were you then debunking the rumors in the myths about $30 million? Oh, you waited until everybody signed, sealed, and delivered, and now we're going to let everybody. Oh, there's no money in here. This is Fort Knox. There's no actual gold here. We just tell everybody there's gold here. So it's gutless by Jimbo from that standpoint.
Ouch. Well, he's preaching from the high pulpit, right? I mean, now that it's over, now the class is in, he can say that.
Exactly.
And, the absolute truth of it, we'll see.
Yeah, until then, we'll let everybody think there's $30 million here. So, Tom, have a good one. Stay warm, and we'll talk to you next week.
Outstanding. Let's do it.
All right, Tom Murphy, Arkansas Democrat Gazette with us here on the Morning Rush.
Less football being played, but BetOnline has way more stuff to bet on this playoff season. From scored, totals, player performance props, to where the next fired coach is going to land, BetOnline is the #1 spot for all things NFL betting in 2022. And with the new year comes a new updated desktop and mobile website. Sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BELIEVE to get get started. That's BLEAV. And it's not just football. BetOnline's basketball, hockey, boxing, and UFC odds coverage is the best in the business. From sports right down to your favorite Vegas casino games, BetOnline is your #1 online wagering destination. BetOnline, the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports and play your favorite games. BetOnline, where the game starts.